Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be talking about my top 3 favorites in the following categories of bronzer, blush, and highlight. So a couple of things that I wanted to just take note first is that these are all powder products. These are my favorite complexion powder products. I was actually, as I was choosing all of these and putting together, what I wanted to talk about for this video, it occurred to me that I also have a lot of like liquid cream bronzer, blushes, and highlights that I also really enjoy. So if that is something that would interest you and you want to see a separate video, leave me a comment down below and let me know if you want to see that, and if you do, I definitely will film it. Let's go ahead and get started. So our very first category is going to be bronzers, and the first bronzer I want to talk about is the Modern Bronzer from the brand Vieve. So I have this in the color medium. It comes with 2 different shades, one that's going to be quite a bit deeper and one that's a little bit lighter. So this is actually the newest bronzer in my collection, but I absolutely I love this bronzer very, very much. First of all, the packaging on this bronzer is absolutely amazing. It feels very expensive, and the other part about that I really enjoy about this too is you see these 2 holes, excuse the fingerprints, but if you see these 2 holes here, this palette is actually refillable, so you can literally pop out these pans and just replace the pans, which I think is super, super cool. These are the 2 colors swatched on the back of my hand, and the thing that's very interesting about this bronzer, and I think this is going to be a recurring theme across all of the products that I have to talk about today, is that it is incredibly skin smoothing. In terms of powder products in general, sometimes you'll come across a powder product and it'll kind of look a little bit chalky on your skin, and it's kind of like, why is it doing that? All of the products that I have today, they just do not have that problem. And the Vieve bronzer really just has been an absolute staple. I use it almost every day since I got it a couple of weeks ago. The next bronzer that I want to talk about, which is a tiny bit more expensive, and by a tiny bit I mean it is more expensive. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer, and I have the color Luminous Bronze Light. Not only does it do an amazing job of smoothing out your skin, it also has a little bit of light reflex in it that really and that's kind of like Hourglass's thing, right? As a brand, for all of their powder products, for all of their complexion products, their whole focus is that it like reflects light beautifully. And so for this one, you can see that it is actually quite a bit more shimmery than the Vieve bronzer, right? Like you can definitely see some of that. It's definitely reflecting back some of that light, right? And the other thing too is, I know price-wise it seems a little bit alarming because it is $52, but a little bit goes a long way. So I have had this product actually for about like at least a year or 2 now, and it barely looks like I even made a dent in it, but I use this all the time and I absolutely love it. And then the third product, I'm willing to bet every single person watching this video is going to be able to guess which product that is, and it is Physicians Formula's Butter Bronzer. I love this bronzer so much that I picked it up in 3 different shades because I decided that I cannot be without it throughout the entire year. So while I am more on the tan side, so like during the summer, I will use either deep bronzer or Sunkissed bronzer, and I'm gonna go ahead and swatch those for you real quick here. So that was something that I really liked about Physicians Formula, is that, they originally just came out with the regular bronzer, and so a lot of people were saying that it didn't really work for them or it was too light, and I was actually in that group as well. So I was really excited when they came out with different shades of it, because I just think that's super helpful. Like you can actually even see now, the lightest one here, this is the bronzer, the regular bronzer shade. Like, yeah, that doesn't really show up on my skin at all. And I'm currently in my transition phase, going from summer, like a summer tan, to more of that like winter paleness. So you can definitely see, and it has different undertones, which I really like too. So the deep bronzer, which is this one, you can see has a little bit more of just a cooler undertone, whereas the Sunkissed bronzer, which I've actually already hit pan on, is quite a bit more orange. So regardless of your shade, hopefully you'll be able to find something just within this butter bronzer line that will work for you. This is honestly the best bronzer at the drugstore, and it has been for multiple years, and I don't know, I don't find that it's going to be topped anytime soon. One of the things that I also want to point out about this product that I really, really enjoy is that it doesn't skip on your face. And that kind of goes with all of the products, again, that I'm going to be talking about today. It doesn't really have that moment where you put it on and it gets dusty or chalky, or it skips over a part of your face. everything just works beautifully, seamlessly, blends out wonderfully on foundation, bare skin, powder, whatever it is that you're using. Let's go ahead and move on to blushes. So the very first one that I wanted to talk about are the Alamar Colorete blush trios. I have this in fair to light and also medium and also medium tan. So one of the things that's really, really cool about her blush trios is that you get 3, which I think is really exciting, and the packaging is absolutely lovely, so you can really bring this with you on travel. That is actually one thing I will say. The Hourglass powder products, do not ever travel with these. They shatter so easily. So this is really kind of like an at-home product that I would recommend. The blush trio, so these powders are actually infused with hyaluronic acid, and I think that's why they smooth onto the skin so beautifully, and just like it's almost like a powder to cream formula, if that makes sense. And I'll go ahead and swatch one of them for you so you can see. Like, how gorgeous is that? It's absolutely stunning. The reason why I love this blush trio so much, though, is mostly also just the variety that you get with it. You can kind of definitely see these are the two colors that I've really used the most, in the medium to tan. These are like more of my summer colors, and then I anticipate using this in quite a bit when it gets to be like the winter time, when I want something that's just a little bit more berry toned, a little bit more like holiday festive look. So absolutely love these blush trios. They're so good. The next blush that I want to talk about, this is such an oldie but such a goodie that I had to take them out and talk about them. So I have this in 2 different colors. I have one in Exposed and one in Fearless. Oh, I actually didn't say what these were. These are the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour blushes. These are actually, I think, the very first blushes I ever bought. So this is probably at least a 12-year infatuation, which that's a pretty long-term relationship if you ask me. It just gives you this most beautiful flush to your cheeks. It's not as pigmented as the Alamar blushes, but I kind of enjoy that sometimes when you want a blush that you can really actually control, like really control how it applies onto your cheeks, and this one really just does that. You can do a really light flush, or you can build it up to be absolutely amazing and be like cherub cheeks almost, if that makes sense. And the other thing that's really great about these is that they do wear for 12 hours. They last forever. Literally, I think blush is usually, generally speaking, the first thing that fades off your face throughout the day. Not with these babies. If you use the Tarte Amazonian 12-hour blushes, you're gonna go home and be ready to take your makeup off, and these things will still be like hanging out on your cheeks like, hey man, we're still here. And then the third blush that I wanted to talk about is from Benefit. So Benefit has a ton of other blushes. I think this one is actually discontinued, which makes me really sad. But this is the Sugarbomb blush that I've also had for a really long time. The one thing that I will say about the Benefit blushes is that their packaging is absolute garbage. I can't stand it. I hate it. Usually I depot everything that I get from them and put it in like a magnetic palette so that I just don't have to deal with like...
Why is it so far in?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are the sidewalls so high? And then, like, anyway, it just drives me nuts. So, again, I usually depot them. But the blush itself is so beautiful. You can actually see that I hit pan right there. These are just, they give a beautiful, see, I can't even swatch it because of the sidewalls. Anyway, this just gives you a beautiful flush to your cheeks that is just so gorgeous and so nice. Unfortunately, I don't think my swatch is actually showing up right now. I tend to need, this is a little bit of a lighter blush. I have one of their deeper ones in, again, one of my magnetic palettes, but I wanted to talk about this one to show you guys what I mean about the packaging. Benefit always hits it out of the park with all of their complexion products. Whether you're looking at highlight, blush, or bronzer, all 3 of those categories, they always just do really well in. It's just this packaging that absolutely drives me nuts. But the product itself, so silky, so smooth, so easy to put on and apply and build up if you want, and it looks just very natural on the skin. Okay, so those are the blushes. Let's move on to highlight. I have so many highlights in my collection that it was actually really hard to choose just 3. The reason why I chose these 3 are for the following factors. They smooth onto the skin absolutely beautiful, so they don't really emphasize texture, and then they're also pretty gleamy. So I would say normally for me, when I want a very subtle highlight, I will usually go for more of a cream formula. But when I really, really want cheeks that are like bam and poppin', I will always go with a powder highlight. And these three definitely do conform to that. So the very first one I wanted to talk about is Ofra Cosmetics. This is their Rodeo Drive Highlighter. You can tell that this has really been very, very well loved by me. You are not going to find a smoother highlight on the market than the Ofra highlights. They really are just outstanding. I mean, come on. Like, that is absolutely beautiful. That shine is so gorgeous. It works for a bunch of different skin tones. If you're looking for the perfect champagne type highlighter, I would definitely recommend Ofra Cosmetics. So the next two are more budget conscious items. So these are more like drugstore price. This one I've talked about before. This is the Maybelline Master Chrome Metallic Highlighter. I have this in Molten Rose Gold, but they have a bunch of different shades. So you probably can find a shade that works for you. Just like the Ofra highlight, this is incredibly smoothing on your skin, also incredibly gleaming. It can be built up to be absolutely beautiful. I have it in rose gold just because I do have a lot of champagne colored highlights, but it is just, I mean, it is so stunning. I tend to reach for this whenever I am traveling just because it is so flat and easy to travel with. The only problem though is that I've now cracked like the plastic in the back, so it bums me out because I think I might need a new one, but I mean, like, look at this. It doesn't even look like it's really been touched. I didn't use this all the live long day. So not all the live long day, because that would just be a lot of highlight in like 24 hours, but I use this all the time. And then the very last highlight that I wanted to talk about, this is I Heart Revolution's Tasty Peach Highlight. First of all, it smells like kind of like chemical peaches, which I love peaches so much that like fresh, chemical, pureed, canned, all peaches. I love them all. This is a gorgeous highlight. It is meant to be a 3D highlight, and that's why it comes with two different shades. Now, normally when I'm applying this, it really depends on the look that I'm kind of going for. If I'm going for more of a subtle, closer to my skin tone shade, then I will use the one that's a bit warmer on this side, and I'll go ahead and swatch that for you. So you can just see it's got a little bit of, I mean, it is still kind of more on that pink side. It does have more of like an icy pink shade to it, but it can be a little bit warmer on the skin. And then on the other side of this lighter highlight here, this is the one that kicks it up another notch. So if you want something that's really kind of just icy and in your face, I would use the lighter one on this side. Together though, when you use your brush and kind of go across both of these shades, you can create the most beautiful highlight. It's just my voice is fading. It's just absolutely stunning. The only thing about this is packaging is kind of sucks, right? Like, this isn't something that I'm really going to be traveling with because it's bulky. So in terms of the products that I have in front of me, like the Hourglass bronzer and then this highlight, are ones that just stay on my vanity, but I use all the time. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me blabber about my favorite bronzer, blushes, and highlights. Again, if you are interested in seeing a cream or liquid version of my top 3 of these categories, definitely leave me a comment down below and I will get that filmed for you guys. So yeah. Okay. I think that pretty much wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you guys in next week's video. Thanks again for watching. Bye! Benefit always kicks it out of the park with either their, kicks it out of the park?
Hits it out of the park?
Hits it out of the park. Thank you. Hey everyone, welcome, oh my god.
Welcome to your first flying
Welcome
lesson.
to your first flying lesson.